Hi and welcome to the first video where I've actually got my paints out. So I've been talking about how I'm going to actually attack these models with my brushes, and today I'm going to try and do that. So first things first, I've decided that I was going to start with Ryu. That's who I was going to start painting first. Now I'm using whatever colour paints I seem to have just lying around. Now, I had a few different types of blue because I've started to find what colours I want to be painting them in. So I think, apart from a few exceptions, which I'll probably mention when we get there, all I need to do is Ryu and Ken really to start off with, just to see if I can actually do this at all. So I'm quite happy whatever colour they are. So Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, I found this lovely site, shoryuken.com. It's great actually. It shows you, and I will cut now to what I'm doing on the screen here. Basically you've got, you find the right game, of course, Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, here we go. And then from there, you basically can choose your character. You see the little sprites here that you can choose. So if I was to think of Ken, there we are, and I click him, it shows me what the default is and the start button. So the start button was the original in this game, and then the default, which it kind of makes you play as, is the new alt colour that was kind of new in Championship Edition really, but the Turbo Edition then kind of ran with it. So I quite like the colour. So as you can see, the Ken here will be a kind of royal purple type colour, which will be quite cool. And the Ryu to match then in Hyper Fighting will be, and this is going to be difficult. If you look at it, if you were to glance at it, you'd just say, oh, he's blue. But he's not a really strong blue. He's kind of like at the lightest points, he is white again, but he's got this lovely blue tint to his gi. So I'm going to try and achieve that with the colours I've got, and again I'm not sure if I'm going to manage it because it looks, there's lots of different shades in these little sprites I'm looking at. We'll see what kind of effect we get on the model when we try it. So yeah, a great little website for finding the different colours and stuff. If you go further into it, I did find the other game, which is the HD version, which shows you basically all 8 odd colours that you can get in for the different sprites. For instance, I did mention I wasn't going to be happy doing Turbo for the whole set, but the only thing that annoys me is Chun-Li. Chun-Li is not the pink one or the red one that was in Championship Edition. She's actually grey, so I might end up doing a grey Chun-Li when that time comes. I mean, that's about a year and a half away. Why am I talking about it now? I don't know. But Ryu and Ken, Ryu, right. So that's the blue I kind of want. How am I going to achieve that? Well, I've looked at the paints I have, and I've got a host of blue different paints. But yes, those blue paints are great. The lightest one is what's called Temple Guard Blue. Oh, by the way, I'm using Citadel paints. I'm just using Warhammer paints because basically that's all I know. So I'm deciding to use them. I've taken the Temple Guard Blue, and it's the wrong type of blue. However, and I'll show you this. I've kind of pre-mixed a little bit of white from there after kind of working the white out a little bit, and I've kind of got to a light sky blue that I think might suit the colour that I'm going for on Ryu. So that's probably going to be the colour I start with. Who knows if this is going to work or not. So, I mean, I've got my little brush. There's the model. That's my model. Sorry, the light is a little bit stark. Obviously, I really like to have a well-lit model when I'm applying the paint. So what I might do is actually change the angle of this camera, so you don't have to look at me anymore, and you can see potentially my hands on the model. I'm not sure how much detail you're going to get, but I think this is going to be a kind of slow progress video, and I might stop if I hit something that I'm really like, whoa. It just simply doesn't take to the model, so nothing else to really do except maybe change the camera and potentially just start painting this little thing. Okay. So, very, very carefully, I'm going to start at the bottom here and work my way up, really. So, there we go. We've got some blue going on there. Again, I've not made much paint for myself at all, because I kind of just want to see. After doing an inch or two of this and watching how it dries, I'm sure I'm going to be kind of either absolutely this is what I'm doing, wow I'm excited, or I'm going to get so far to the point where I go, this looks terrible, and I'll probably finish one model eventually, but definitely a lot of the excitement for what potentially I could do with these models would have kind of dissipated a bit. So just looking at it now, it looks so stark to the white on the model, but clearly I have to persevere. Again, these models are no use to me. I've just, bought them for this exact reason, to basically paint, and they're just write-offs, really. I mean, I hate to talk about the negative side of potentially this whole experiment not working, but if it was to not work, I mean, I could then just simply sell my second set of the Street Fighter miniature game onwards, and somebody else would have the benefit of a nice full untouched set, because I might have lost confidence, let's say, in potentially painting the second batch. So obviously this video, a painting video, naturally is a slow process, and it potentially gives me a nice amount of time to talk to you about what I've backed in total. So for me, Street Fighter 2 was really the last Street Fighter I grew up with, as well as being the first, technically. I know the range gets quite complicated in terms of you have Street Fighter 2, then you have Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and then you have all the different iterations. Well, I'll be honest, I never even went to Super that much. So Cammy, DJ, T-Hawk and Fei Long were all, never really got to know those characters much as I was playing, because I kind of, Turbo was the one we had at home. Turbo was the one we played the most of, except for maybe the original as well. We had a copy of that. I just do remember a friend of my brother's having the Turbo version of Street Fighter quite early on, but he had an American version of it. So he had the really square looking carts. Obviously I'm from Britain, so we had the nice looking one with the coloured buttons and all. But I just remember we had to have this really ugly looking adapter, which was needed to play the American version of the game. So, that being said, I understand that the Kickstarter obviously did really well, and they had separate batches of characters from Street Fighter 3 and Third Strike. A lot of those games that came years afterwards, I had no interest in backing them, to be honest. Even the completionist in me was not really interested in getting any of those, to be honest. Right, I'm starting to make progress here now. It's not going to focus, is it? Yes, it might do. There we are, you can see the bottom of his gi coming up, very uniform at the moment, which not going to lie, I'm a little bit worried about. Just going to take some more paint Mix it in there. The one thing I've learnt from painting, and oh, here we go, I've started talking about painting as if I'm some kind of genius. The one thing then, if I can say anything that I've learned from painting, is to keep your paint thin. That is to make sure that you don't have too much paint on the brush, because if you have too much paint on the brush, you'll end up having too much paint on the model. And as you get confident, yeah, even now actually, because I've been painting now for 10 minutes, and even now it's all starting to come back to me, and I'm starting to move a little faster. That's probably a bad thing, because the faster you move, the more paint you tend to lump on the end of the brush, and you tend to just seem to just go for it, you know, when really you don't want to do that. You want to keep very little paint on the brush and apply it very slowly and smoothly. And that's me, you know, I wish I could have told myself that years and years and years ago. It would have saved me a lot of effort. So here we go, just trying to get that shade of colour back as I'm mixing up a bigger batch now, because I think I'm confident in carrying on with the model. Unfortunately, I probably will cut the video just so I can crack on with the boring stuff of just keeping the paint going. I think I've got the colour about right there. So yes, so I think that's what I'll do. So you can see the colour starting to come just there, okay, on him. So that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to crack on and concentrate now, put some music on, and I'll see you in a bit. So a little catch up. You can see I've just more or less finished the lower half of Ryu here, and I mean the colour obviously it is taking to it, and it's covering it up nicely. Obviously I'm being very careful not to put too much on there, and I'm trying to kind of make it uniform, well, as uniform as it needs to be, because he's got a lot of creases in these trousers, and you can tell how the colour wouldn't be the same in all the different zones anyway. And when you look at the sprite, as I showed you earlier, there's a lot of white that tends to show through. So for the moment, I'm quite happy in how these paints are working, going over his legs. Sorry, I'm not doing a good job of showing it there. So there you go. So obviously I'm going to crack on now, obviously being careful with the details. These red gloves things he's got on, that's a Street Fighter 5 thing, I think, because he wore brown ones in every colour Ryu you'd get. These would be brown. So I'm changing them to brown because I can. So I'm going to change them to brown. And then his this is where I have to be very, very careful, is when I change his headband to a white colour. So yeah, but there we are, that's the progress so far. So I have just finished the blue coat on Ryu here. Yes, you can tell it's a different colour, yay, okay. So the blue, you know what, I don't know, I feel quite positive. It actually looks not bad. It's almost as if the white was the perfect kind of undercolour for this, because in looking at the sprite, as I've said, the white kind of shines through of it anyway, so you need a little bit of the white. It's almost like it's accidentally gone in the wash with a blue suit or something, and his gis come out slightly blue. That's kind of perfect. So obviously I said I was going to do the gloves, and I need to do his bandana and whatever to finish him off. And then as this blue is drying, I can already see it kind of getting a little bit lighter in the corners, and I like how that looks. In previous videos I showed the Ken model where it kind of has a darker shade where it gets a bit dirty on the edges, where this one's kind of good. It's got kind of where the colour's worn on the edges, almost like a denim pair of jeans wearing at the edge, so it might get a little bit whiter in some spots. So at the moment you can clearly tell that is an alternate colour Ryu. And you know what? It didn't take that long either. So I'm really pleased at the moment. Right, it's no good me just poking this up in the camera. You'll have proper shots, I'm sure, once I've edited this video. But I'm going to crack on. But that is where we're at the moment. Okay, so I'm going to zone out and do some more. Great. So here we are. I've spent maybe an hour or so painting the Ryu, as you've been watching. I've kind of just gone over all the extra bits that I kind of wanted to do, and it's kind of more or less drying. I think the headband was the last thing I did, and here are the results really. And remember, this is just first coat over it, so there we have. We now have Ryu in blue. Did the gloves in a brown as well, and then the headband in white. So I'll show you some close-ups of that. Am I happy with it? You know what? It was great. The experience of painting that was wonderful. Obviously, I think this was going to be the easiest one because Ryu was originally in white, which means any colour you put onto it should have no problem taking and come out kind of how you want it to. Also, the slight blotchiness maybe of the white showing through the blue is perfect for the kind of colour I was wanting to do, where maybe with the Ken one, because next with the Ken model I'm hoping to go a deep royal purple. I don't want any hint of red. I really want a strong, vibrant, colourful purple there. So that'll be different to the Ryu one, where I don't mind it looking a little bit like there's white underneath, because that's literally the colour of the gi. It's kind of white, very light blue with that under of white. But I am now full of confidence of going forward and attacking Ken next. I think that's great. I might be able to, when it's totally dry, I might even be able to take a lighter blue again. So we're getting technical again. You painters must be laughing at me, but or anybody with artistic talent. I don't think I've ever said that on the stream, but on these videos. I have zero talent whatsoever when it comes to artistic stuff, drawing. Being creative in that sense is something I don't. I can understand people who can do it well, and I'm like, wow, that's impressive, and I always appreciated it in other people, but I can never do it myself. However, what I've learned from Warhammer is putting shading on. It sounds pretentious, I know, but it's putting lighter colours in places that you think are a bit more open, less recessed, and all that means is the light's hitting it more. It's a technical thing that I don't fully understand, but like on his thighs here, which are open and they're catching the light, you may want to actually put lighter blue there without destroying the whole look of the model. However, the way it's come out, to be honest, I'm really quite happy with that, and I can't wait to move on to the next one. All this means is it's going to be an even harder wait now for the actual full miniature game to come, because I'm itching now to get painting and to make as many mirror match colours as I can. So here's to waiting. So next video, I think it's going to be more or less the same kind of procedure, but for Ken. Might not go as slow on Ken as I did with Ryu, because I was just wanting to capture it all and show you the processes and show you that you can just start and throw paint on these things and just see how it goes. You know, don't worry if you're going to ruin it, basically. I think that's the main thing. Obviously, one little technical thing, and it's kind of cheating. I've got what's this? This is the standard brush, right, from Warhammer. I don't even think I use the more fine detail one. I've got an Artificer brush there, which is definitely a little bit. I haven't even used it. I haven't taken the top off. That would have been better for more detailed stuff. I managed to do the gloves, to be honest, with the standard size brush, but I do have a Army Painter triangular little brush, and the tip on that is called Artificer, the Army Painter Insane Detail it's called. It is absolutely tiny. It is minuscule, the tip on that. And what I use that one for, and this isn't going to work, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to zoom it up or anything, right? Ryu's eyebrows go on the outside of his headband. So his headband sits there and his eyebrows are kind of grown over them. That's actually how it needs to look. So in colouring the headband, I needed to colour the headband around the eyebrows, and they're spiky eyebrows. So basically I had to use this tiny little brush to just put the white where I needed to. And yeah, came out alright actually. So there we go, that's Ryu done for now. Next video will be Ken, from red to purple, I think. Okay, so unless I get any creative brushes, and I think I need to do a video on some other factor, I think the next video will probably be me painting Ken. Okay, so thanks very much for watching. That's my first ever painting tutorial, not tutorial really, painting video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.